Hello everyone, in the previous video we have discussed how to create a class, how to create multiple classes under a package, and then how to create object of the class, and by using object how we can call methods, right? You saw everything from the previous video. Now in this video I'm going to complete the remaining part of the topics those we have decided to discuss in this video. So these are the topics those I'm going to cover in this video. So let's start the discussion without wasting any time. So first of all first of all, i want to I want to send a value. I want to send a value, like when I'm calling this method. Can you see I'm calling this method here? Can you see this set of parentheses? This set of parentheses is to send something to the method when you are calling. Let's say if you send 5, if you send 5, right? Now it will be complaining because you are sending something but you have nothing there to accept it. Let's say if you pour water in a glass, right? The glass will have water, but if you do not have a glass and if you pour water, then where will that water go? That water will go to the ground. So at this point we are trying to send something but there is nothing to accept it from the other class. So where is that class, where is that method defined? Inside this class, inside this class. Now if you want to accept something, like as we are passing something from here, if you want to accept it, if you want to accept this 5, you will have to have a container here. What is that container? Let's say int num, right? If you say int num, now if you go back you will see there is no error, because you are sending something when you are calling this method, and then where you have defined that method, can you see you have something, you have something to accept that value, right? You got it? So you are sending something from this class where you have defined the object and you are calling that method, and then you have to make sure that where you have defined, this is the definition of this method. In the definition, in this parenthesis, you will have a container to accept that value from there. Now can you see that we are receiving a value here? You can now print that value here. Let's say, let me, before I put that plus, can you see up to this? What is this? This is inside a double quotation. Can you see hello from hardworking class, and this text, right? This is alphanumeric text, it is inside the double quotation. Can you see this? It is inside the double quotation. And now let's say with that string, if you want to concatenate, if you want to add something else, you can put a plus, and then what is the thing that you want to add? This num. So now if you put num, right, and if you print it, previously it was able to print, let's say up to this, hello from hardworking class. Can you see this? Now if you execute it again, you will see that it will be printing hardworking class 5. Can you see hardworking class 5, right? Hardworking class 5. Now let's say you do not want this 5 attached to this class. So what you want to do, you want to put a semicolon here, and after that you want to put a space, and then you want to print this number. So let's say I'm going to do this now. Now can you see that how I have added a colon, and then after that colon I have a space, and then I have printed this 5. Yeah, that is what you can do. Now I will make this, you saw that how how I have passed a value, how I have passed a value to this method. Now I'm going to show you how you can return a value from this method. So you have seen that that is where you receive value. Now can you see this void? This is the return type. This void means can you see we are not returning anything. We are just printing something. Now, if you want to return, then you will have to use this. You will have to use this return statement. Return. And what do you want to return? You want to return, let's say, something. You want to return something. I'll tell you what you want to return. So at the moment there will be an error, but let me show you what you want to return. So you want to return, remember that you have defined a variable, integer type variable, first num. So I'm going to say first num equal to first num times first num equal to first num times this asterisk mean multiplication, first num equal to first num's time num. So what is that? Like, actually I'm going to say first num equal to 5 times 5 times first num, 5 times first num. Let me see what is that error it is showing. So it is showing that um, first it is, what is the error it is showing? Let me see. Remove assignment. Okay, so here I'm going to say, so here the mistake that I made, it is first int and I have put first num. So I'm going to say first int equal to 5 times, actually let's multiply it by 5. Yeah, 5 times whatever I'm getting here in num, I'm multiplying it by 5 and then putting that result in first num, and then I'm returning that first int. Right, I'm returning that first int. Now can you see it is complaining? What is that complaint? Void method cannot return a value. What is that error message? Void method cannot return a value. Now can you see I'm returning something, right? Returning means wherever I'm calling this method from, over there I'm returning this. Now but I put return type as void. So what is the data type that I'm returning? Is integer type data, right? So I'm going to say, instead of void, I'm going to say int. So that means now I'm returning an integer value. So for that I'll have to give a return type int, return type int. Make sense? Now if you come here, right? Now can you see this hardworking class is returning something? So if you are getting something from another place, you are supplying 5, right? You are supplying 5 to that method, and you have a container here to accept it, and then that number is multiplied by 5, and then you are returning this, right? You have an acceptor here. So when this method is returning something, to receive that number, you will have to have an acceptor here. What is that acceptor? Let's say I'm going to declare a variable int bar equal to this, int var equal to this. Now can you see this int var in Java? Without declaring, you cannot use a variable. Now what type of data we are getting from that method? We are getting a integer type data from that method. So this variable, if you look at the error message, you will see that it will say something. Let me hover on it. It say int var cannot be resolved to a variable. So int var, we will have to declare that variable. So normally you can declare your variable in the beginning of your method. So let's say I'm going to say int var. Now this is my variable, and this is my semicolon. I'm ending this statement. Now can you see int var? Now what should I have in int var after calling this method by this object? So this is my object. I'm using that object to call this method, and when I'm calling this method, I'm supplying 5. This supply is coming to this variable here num, and then I'm multiplying num by 5. So 5 times 5, it will be first int, it will be stored 5, and then after that I am printing something and then I'm returning that first num. So what do I have in that first num? 5 times 5, 25. So this return, right, as I am returning something, I'll have to put that return type int here. And when you are returning something, you have, like, when you are calling, this call is resulting that return of 25. So this 25 is going to be stored here. Now if you say that system dot out dot println, system.out.println, right, what do you want to print? Let's say you want to print that value that is being returned from the method. What is that value? Int var. You got it. Now if you execute, right, let me put in this way. So this is my first print statement. I'm going to say 1 colon. This is my first print statement, and then here I'm declaring this object of that class. This is the class, and then I'm calling that method by using that object, right? And inside that method I'm passing 5. This 5 is being saved here, contained here, and then I'm multiplying that 5 by another 5, that is becoming, first int. And then I have a print statement, another this is my second print statement, right? I'm putting 2 colon, and in that print statement I'm printing that value that I'm receiving and another message, and then I'm returning that, multiplication product. And where do I return? I return the value, like whenever you are calling here, it is coming and saving the value to this variable. And I have a final statement that I'm going to say, this is my third, this is my third, 3 colon space, and then this is a string. You can add an integer to a string, but this is an integer, right? This is a string, and then if you want to add these two together, you'll have to put a plus here, right? Now if you execute, let me see what I mean. Let me save it before I execute it. If I execute it, you will see that now first print statement is from here, right? Is from here, and then we are calling that method by this hrd obj object, and then it is going there, and there is a print statement here inside that method. It is printing to hello from hardworking class, and whatever value we have passed, we are printing it here, and then we are returning that product 5 times 5 by integer type, and then it is going to be stored here in that int variable. And finally, from this last print, you can see that 3 colon, and then it is whatever we have received here, it is going to print this, right? You got it. That is how you send value to a method, and you receive the value, you return a value from the method, and you subsequently use it. So as a tester, as a Selenium tester, why do we need to learn this method? Like, so as a part of this course, I'm going to develop a hybrid framework, and for this hybrid framework, you will have to write lot of methods from where you'll be, interacting with the web objects, and you will be returning values to the calling method. Also you'll be passing values. So that's why I'm giving you these basics, so that you can understand, you can use those techniques. Okay, so you understand so far whatever we have done, right? So we have some properties here, right? We have some properties. Although we didn't use these properties, we can use them. How you can use them? Let's say we have something in the first int. You can store something in the first double. Double will be a decimal point data, like first double equal to 2.5, something like this. First string, again, first string will always be in the double quotation, and in the double quotation it can be anything, alphanumeric, numeric, anything. Okay, now you saw how we are passing values to a method, and we are returning values from a method, right? Now if I take a look at at the slides that I was discussing, let me see what is left on this discussion. That access specifier, let me give a little bit more information. We have declared variables and methods. So 3 types of variable mostly you will be using, actually 4: integer for full numbers, double for fractional numbers like 2.5, string for alphanumeric sentences or data, like a string will always be in the double quotation. And then you will be using another data type called char. Char will be in the single quotation, it will have only one single characters, right? Any single characters. So we have declared this, we have you know briefly discussed these variables and methods. We'll have further discussion, and we have discussed these access specifiers. Remember that, guys. Remember, here from this method you have an object, right? You have an object, and I'll tell you one other thing. Let's say I'm having another method here, right? I'm having another method. Let's say I'm going to have this time I'm going to have a method that will be returning an string from this method. So I'm going to say what will be the return type. The return type will be string, and then the name of the method will be, let's say, working on string. You can give any name, and then it will you'll have to start your method and enter and close your method. Right now, let me see what it is complaining about. The method must return a result, right? Can you see? Now I have string return type. If I say void, it will not complain anything because I do not need to use return. But if I use string, then must I'll have to return a string from this method. Let's say hello return hello. Hmm, return I'm going to return hello. Okay, now if you go back to your method here, right? This is your object. Now if you use your object here, right? If you use your object here, dot. Now can you see that the name of the method here is working on string. Remember that lower camel case. First word will have lower, started with lowercase letter, and then all of the subsequent words will be starting with the uppercase letter. Now if you come here, if you put your dot, right, and put w, can you see working on string, working method, these two methods that we have defined in the other class. Can you see we have two methods, working method and then working on string method, right? If you go there, right, and if you put a dot and w, you'll see these two methods here, right? Now let me show you what is the use of access specifier. Now we do not have any specifier here. By default, if you do not have any specifier, all of the classes from the same package will be able to see this method. Now if you say, instead of saying nothing, if you say private, and if you come here, right, dot, and if you press w, you'll be able only see working method. You will not be able to see working on a string method, right? Because we have made it private, right? That is the use of access specifier. In most case, if you work as a tester, you will be using probably public type variable, but it is very useful to know what is the use of private variable. We need, like, when we need to develop a secure application where we need to hide lot of details, right? So to make the application more secure, we use basically private variables. Now if you like, we are returning string. So let's say when you are calling here, right, let's say dot. Now if you put w, let's say working on a string, this is the method. Now this method is returning something, right? So you'll have to store it to somewhere. Let's say I'm declaring another variable, string str processed string str processed, right? Now if you store this processed, if you store this return value to this processed variable, and then if you finally print it, right, system dot out dot println, if you print it here, right, you will see what do you want to print. You want to print that processed variable. Now before I print it, I want to add something. Remember, your variable, this is a variable that you define by string. Your variable will never go to whatever its type, it will never go to the double quotation. Now I'm going to put, this is my fourth print statement, I'm going to put a space, and this is a string, right? This is a string because it is inside double quotation. This is a string as well, but you will not be putting it in the double quotation because this is a variable. Why it is variable? It is variable because of this line, right? We have named it this as a string variable. Now if you want to add this to string variable, you'll have to put this plus here. Now if you execute it, right, you will see that we'll have four print statement, and all of this print statement, first print statement is from this hello, this is from main method, and the second print statement is here from here, this where we are calling method, working method, and the third print statement is from this, and the fourth print statement is from this. Let's say when you have called this method, right, you have called this method, let's say you want to pass your name, so if you want to pass something to that variable, to that method, to this method, right, you will have to put that value in this quotation. How will you put that? Let's say my name is GHT. This is my name, right? GHTONMOY or whatever. My name is GHT. Okay. Now, can you see it is complaining because you are passing a value, but you do not have a container to accept that value. Now, if you take a look in the previous method, we have passed a number, right? But here we are passing something that is enclosed with a double quotation, right? That means this is a string. Now, if you want to receive it here in this method, you will have to receive it in a string, right? And let's say str my name. You can give any name, str my name. Remember, when you are naming a variable, follow this lower camel case, first word with lowercase letter and all of the subsequent words with uppercase letters in the beginning. Now if you want to return, right, if you want to return, let's say you want to process this string and return it. This is your name, right? So let's say we already have a string type variable. This is our string type variable. We are going to use this variable for this return statement. Remember, this is a properties that we are using. Like this, these are methods. Normally methods use these properties, whatever properties you have here, right, if it is useful. Now first string equal to, right, we want to say hello, hello to whom? We want to say hello to my name, hello to my name, right? So we are basically, let's say I'm not putting it format. I'll show you what is the use of that colon and that space. So now first string equal to this, and I'll have to end this here. First string equal to this, I'm returning now this first string, right? I'm returning now this first string, right? Now if you go there again, remember that we are getting something because we have a return statement that is returning a string, and we are, whatever is returned, we are saving it here. Now it is going to say 4 colon space and then hello whatever name is. Now if I execute it, you will see what it does. Now can you see hello ZHT? Now it seems like it is a little bit scrambled because both of the word together and it is hard to understand. So what we can do here, after hello we can put a colon and space. Now if you print it again, you will see this hello will be ending with this name. Now if you execute it, let me do this execution. Right now, can you see hello gst? Right, that is how you pass value to a method and you return value to a method. And you saw what is the use of access specifier like public private. Okay, now let me take a look what is left in this video that I said I will be discussing. Now if you take a look how to pass values to methods and process of returning values from methods, we already did it. How to remove projects from Eclipse workspace and open existing projects, you already saw it in the first video, we did it. Now we have already discussed these class objects, how to make class, how to make objects. We have used that new and dot operator. Again, if you take a look here, right, if you take a look here, in our Eclipse, can you see we have an whenever we have an object, we have declared an object here. To declare an object, you will have to put new word and then what is the class name from where you want to declare an object, and then you'll have to put it in a variable of that class type. That is what we did here. And then by using that object and dot operator, we have called the method from inside that class, right? And we have passed value to that method and return value from that method, right? All of the thing we have covered. Now let me, like, for your next class, your exercise that you are going to, your homework that you are going to submit me is this. Let me go to that homework. The homework is there will be two classes. The first class you will be naming it as CLS master. We'll have the main method where you will have the main method from where you will be calling methods of another class. Another class name will be CLS worker. CLS worker will have four methods, each of which will take two numbers. Each of the method will take two numbers as input. Four of the methods in CLS worker will return the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and division of the two numbers being passed to the methods. Right, this is your homework. Now let me show you a quick, right, let me show you a quick how you can pass multiple value to a method. Right, let's say that you want a method that will take two numbers as a parameter. So let's say I'm going to define another method that will be returning an integer value, and let's say I'm going to name this method as method add method, and it will be returning two value. Remember, it will be accepting two values from the calling function. I'll tell you how I'm going to do it. Now let's say the first value is int a and put a comma. Second value is int b, int space b, right? And then I'm going to put, can you see that first int, going to put the result in first int. So this is my first int equal to a plus b, right? And then I'm going to say, remember that it is throwing an error here because we are not returning. It will say that the method must return a result of type int. So I'm going to say return. What do I want to return? I'm going to return this variable. I'm going to return this, right? And then semicolon. Now I'll have to call this method, right, from this one. So I'm going to say again, in var, let's say I'm going to have another variable. You can declare multiple variable at the same line by separating them by a comma. Now I'm going to say sum equal to, and what is my object? This is my object. Dot. What is that? What is the name of that method? Right, add method. Can you see this is the method? Right, now if you take a look, it is complaining again. let me put a semicolon. What is that a and b? Remember that this method takes how many numbers as as a parameter? Two numbers. We have two parameter. We'll have to supply two parameters. So how will you supply two parameters? Let's say you supply 5 and 10. Right now these two parameters will be stored. 5 will be stored in a and 10 will be stored in b, and we are adding a plus b, that means 5 plus 10, and saving it to first int and returning it from here. Now when you are returning it, the value, the results will be saved here. Then let's say I'm going to print another statement here. Right, I'm going to print another output message, and this is my fifth output. You do not have to put that 1 2 3 4 5. I'm just putting it for your understanding. And if you write it here, that's sum, right? That's sum. And you write let's say 5 sum equal to, right, sum, this is, or total equal to, total total equal to. Now if you execute, you will see this. We are calling this method here, and this method is taking 5 and 10 in input, adding this two number and returning the result. The result is coming to this variable, and then finally we are printing here. Let's say I do not need 5. I'm going to remove 5. Now if you execute it, right, with all of the previous whatever we did, can you see total equal to 15? Now we are not doing the sum here. Instead of, we are calling a method. Can you see we are calling this method that and supplying two values. Now if you go there, can you see we have accepted the first value in a and the other value in b, and then we have added these two value and return it. You got it, everyone? So that is how you'll be resolving. I have already done the addition part, right? You'll be completing that subtraction, multiplication, and division part. You'll be writing another three method to same way. You'll be supplying two numbers, and you'll be subtracting one number from another and returning the results. You'll be supplying two numbers, you'll be multiplying the numbers by another and return the result. And in the final method, you are going to divide the number by each other and then send the results to the calling method. So this is your homework. So I am not going to make this video any longer. I'll keep it stopped here. So I'll be sending you both of this video. Please go into the into each of the line of this video and complete this homework and send back to me as soon as possible. I'll give you feedback. Thank you again, guys. It was long conversation, but hopefully it will be useful to you. Again, thank you for your time.